What is the difference between a Pokemon investor and a scalper? To a lot of people, they're the exact same thing. Folks who jack up the prices to make it impossible for regular collectors to enjoy the hobby. They're the reason that you walk into Target and see nothing but sad, empty shelves. But what if I told you that there is one massive difference that separates the patient, long-term play and the high-risk, quick-flip gamble? Today, we're going to break that down with critical distinctions and the catastrophic risks that come with each, so you can decide for yourself which side you're really on. And we'll talk about that right after this. All right, everybody, I'm Andy with Northwoods TCG, and today we're going to be talking about Pokemon investors versus scalpers. The one big difference between the two. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, and that notify if you're just joining us here on the Northwoods TCG platform. Join us for our Rip and Chips on Friday and Sunday here at 9 p.m. Central Time, and just our market talk and investing talk on Tuesday at 9 p.m. All live, where we can have live discussions on what's happening with Pokemon TCG. Without further ado, why don't we just jump into the whole discussion here, where I want to talk about the differences between the two, because I feel like the line is becoming very blurred when it comes down to this topic on what a true investor is and what a actual scalper is in the Pokemon TCG. We seem to be getting wrapped into the same thing in the same boat, and that's not true, and that's not fair to the investing side of things when you're talking about the quick flip and the damages caused to this hobby based on one versus the other. So we're going to go ahead and break into that, and we're going to talk about all the differences as we move through this particular video. So let's be real. The frustration in the Pokemon community is completely justifiable. You've seen the photos and heard the stories. People camping outside stores, shelves getting cleared out minutes after restock, and brand new products popping up online for triple the price of them at these stores. Crazy demand has created a perfect storm where two very different players show up, and they're actually getting slapped within the same negative label. This confusion isn't just annoying, it makes the whole hobby feel toxic. Genuine collectors feel like they're being priced out, and everyone holding on to sealed booster boxes is immediately suspicious. Are they a patient collector, a smart investor, or a predatory scalper? The line feels blurry because from the outside, the actions look the same. Buying Pokemon cards to sell them later, but it's the why and how, and especially when that truly separates them. The community is understandably torn, but the feeling is almost always driven by simple, raw frustration and not being able to find cards. Today, we're going to cut through all the noise. We're going to define both roles, break down the playbook, and expose the huge risks they're both taking. All right, let's get into it. First up, the scalper. The scalper's game is simple, aggressive, and incredibly short term. Their only goal is to cash in on immediate hype and scarcity and make a fast buck. Think about it this way, a scalper couldn't care less about the long-term health of the Pokemon TCG or the culture value of the cards. They just see a hot product, a supply and demand problem, and a chance to make money now. Their strategy is all about opportunity. Their target, brand new, high-demand releases and sets everyone is buzzing about. We saw this with recent super hyped sets where Elite Trainer boxes were released at $50 and then were suddenly listed at $150 on release weekend. Scalpers will do whatever it takes to get the retail price stock. That means camping out, using large groups to get around purchase limits, and even running bots that instantly buy up online inventory the second it drops on websites. Their whole plan is to clear out the shelves, create a fake shortage, and force desperate buyers to the secondary market where the scalper is waiting with their 2 to 3 times price markup. The key here is the holding period. They're talking hours or days, not years. They need to flip the product while the release hype is in the absolute peak. They have zero intention of storing items, curating a collection, or waiting for something to appreciate naturally. It's a high volume grind that runs on hype and FOMO, the fear of missing out, which they both exploit and suffer from. Honestly, it has way more in common with gambling than it does with actual investing. Now let's flip the card and look at a Pokemon investor. The Pokemon investor works on a totally different timeline with a completely different mindset. Sure, Profit is still the goal, but their strategy is built on a long-term growth, patient, and a solid understanding of market trends. They are not chasing chaos for a new release. In fact, they usually do the exact opposite. An investor strategy is to buy assets and hold them for months, but more often for years or even decades. They believe in the incredible staying power of the Pokemon brand and see sealed products and certain graded cards as alternative assets, kind of like fine wine or classic cars. And believe it or not, the data backs it up. Over certain periods, Pokemon investment have actually outperformed big players like the S&P 500. Instead of clearing shelves of the newest set, a smart investor might buy products during a quiet period when demand is low and prices are normal, or even below retail. They strategically pick items for long-term potential. Booster boxes are a gold standard for steel investing. Special elite trainer boxes such as the Pokemon Center ones from fan favorite set and specific single cards with iconic art or low population in a high grade. They might even focus on vintage sets like Base Set and Jungle, whose values have exploded thanks to scarcity and pure nostalgia. They're betting on the idea that the timeline goes on and sealed product will get rarer and more are open, and the shrinking supply will cause the value to go up naturally. This takes patience, a ton of research, and capital that you're okay with having tied up for a very long time. So what's the big difference between a Pokemon investor and a scalper? It's the timeline and intent. A scalper's game is played in days, and their intent is to exploit temporary market chaos for quick buck. An investor's game is played in years. The intent is to capitalize on long-term organic growth of collectibles as they become rarer over time. One is a frantic gamble on hype, and the other is a calculated bet on legacy. Both of these paths are loaded with risk, but the kind of risk is completely different. For the scalper, the single greatest enemy is time. Their whole model depends on selling products right away, while supply is low and everybody is desperate. The biggest threat to their model is a sudden massive restock or reprint of a product they're hoarding. We've seen it happen time and time. A hot set elite trainer box gets scalped into another dimension with prices hitting 120. Then the Pokemon company, trying to meet demand, drops a huge second, third wave of that product. All of a sudden, the market is flooded. Those same boxes that were selling at a huge premium crash back down to retail price or even lower. Scalpers who bought dozens of them are now stuck with a mountain of product that they can't sell for profit. They're forced to either sell at a loss or become accidental long-term investors, something their business model is not built for. Some people call it Scalper's Armageddon. It's the direct result of their short-sighted game. The investor, on the other hand, isn't worried about reprints. Their risk is slower, much quieter, or even more terrifying, the risk of people just not caring anymore. An investor who buys a booster box to hold for 10 years is making a massive bet that in a decade, people will still be passionate about Pokemon. They're betting that the franchise will keep growing, that new generations will find the Pokemon TCG, and that the nostalgia today's players feel will turn into big dollar purchases tomorrow. And that is a huge risk. What if the Pokemon company makes a few bad moves? What if the next generation of kids aren't interested? A major recession that could crush the collectibles market as people are not spending money on hobbies. Unlike a stock, a sealed booster box isn't a liquid asset. You can't just sell it immediately for a guaranteed price. You have to find places to put it, such as TCG Player, such as eBay, places that would actually be willing to purchase this or people that are looking for it. If the market turns south, an investor might find that an asset they've been holding for a decade has barely gone up in value or, in the worst case scenario, is worth less than they paid for it. The biggest enemy isn't sudden reprint. It's a slow, quiet fizzle of cultural relevance. So while the scalper and the investor might both buy the same Pokemon boxes, they are playing two completely different games and two different set of rules and risks. The scalper is a sprinter in a mad dash. They hope that they can cash out before the race is over. The investor is a marathon runner, betting on their own patience and the enduring power of the franchise itself. The scalper's action directly hurt the community, creating artificial shortages, pricing out the fans who just want to open some new packs. The investor, while still in it for profit, operates on a completely different timeline that lets the initial hype die down, often buying when nobody else is even looking at it any longer. One is defined by the market manipulation and the other by market prediction. It's a complicated and fierce debate, and sometimes the line gets very blurry. But understand the core difference in the timeline and the intent is the first step to making sense of this wild Pokemon market. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this? Are you a pure collector, a calculated investor, or have you been tempted to scalp a hot product for a quick flip? Let me know in the comments down below, and hopefully this helps you out on your understanding of the Pokemon TCG. As always, I'm Andy with Northwoods TCG, and we are here to help you on your Pokemon investment journey. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, of course that notifies so you know we're doing new videos. And other than that, we'd like to see you next time here on Northwoods TCG.